Hello, welcome, I'm the Raging Beard. I recently did a video showing my two new Ascher racing devices, and in the comments I got asked to compare the driving feel between the F28 rim and the Fanatec McLaren GT3 rim. I thought I'd go one step further and go a bit in depth comparing the two, and why you might choose one over the other. There is a price difference, but there are options that bring this one up to the same price. I'll go over that in a bit. You might wonder why I'm not comparing it to the Fanatec Formula rim. Firstly, I don't have one, and secondly, that's 270mm, comparing it to a 300mm, whereas this sits nicely in the middle at 285, and I find it's great for use Formula, GT, whatever. It's a good all-rounder. You know, I like to have the physical wheel relatively close to what I'm using in game, but this just is an all-rounder. So I think this is fairer anyway to compare this with a GT rim than a 370mm rim compared to this. Anyway, so let's go a little closer in depth comparing the two. Obviously price is a big factor. This comes in, obviously there's a wired version, which is a lot more money with a lot more inputs, but this one comes in at £600 shipped all in. The McLaren GT3 rim, USB converted. Obviously we're discussing PC stuff rather than Fanatec's own system, because if you were just going to buy this unconverted, you wouldn't be considering this anyway. So this from Sim Racing Machines, converted, comes brand new in the box and everything, and it's easy to put it back if you for some reason wanted to go non-converted, but comes in at about 400 quid. So yeah, there's a 200 price gap. However, if you add in the inline DIN connector, which I do because I like to hard mount that to the side of the rig, and then if for whatever reason there's a bit of a tug, this is left well alone. There's no force on the USB itself. So that adds on 30 quid, but on top of that you can have these shifters replaced. Sim Racing Machines will put their own sort of carbon paddle magnetic shifters, and it'll put the shifters more in line with what's on the Ascher racing device. So you do that, and that pretty much brings this up to 600 quid. They're the same price then. But obviously a lot of people understood would just leave this as is. But so I thought I'd compare the two, and I'll go into how they feel driving shortly. But looking at the actual devices, input wise, they both got a lot of inputs. The buttons feel great on both. This one's got what I haven't really counted them up. 14 buttons each side if you include the press on the joystick. So this has two joysticks each side, like the Fanatec funky switch, basically the same. That has one in the bottom left, down here, and this has these two, which is up, down, left, right, rotary, and click in. And then the normal buttons with 4 guarded buttons. And this one, yeah, has the one joystick. Funky switch does the same thing, rotary, click in, up, down. Your buttons around the edge here, less than the Ascher Racing. 2 guided buttons, which are a lot harder to click in. All the buttons feel great, obviously. Changeable button caps on this. It comes with other button caps, labels you can stick on. This one you don't change the button caps, but you do get sheets of stickers to put on and around, yeah, all over the wheel. If you wanted, you could cover it. I'm not bothering. I go in VR only, so that's useless. All in all, I suppose this one does have more inputs if the sim supports it, just because it's got these up and down switches. And as an example, if that's button 1, 2, 3, 4, turn this once. Let me get a little closer there. Turn that once, and then it could be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Not all sims support that. You can do it in Joy to Key for a bit more functionality. I've mentioned that in several videos. Great bit of kit. But you'd soon run out of soon run out of buttons to assign them to, keys to assign them to. This one is for controlling how it actually works. So you can have it, obviously you've got your dual clutch here, but this can set it to whether you want it to be throttle and handbrake, or yeah, just so you can assign it to whatever you want. But yeah, so the physical makeup is the main difference, what you're paying for. The grips here are nice, beautiful suede. These are rubbery, still feel good. But this is obviously metal construction. This is the big deal. This is metal construction. This is all plastic. Now, while I've not found that to be a problem, because I'm using it on a large midge direct drive wheel, kept down to around 7 Newton meters or so though. This has held up well, and it's been a great wheel, and I've enjoyed using it. But you know it's plastic. You get, you know, it's not gonna happen in use, is it? But you get the odd little plastic creak and stuff. Not that you feel it's gonna fail or break or anything, but you just know there's not the sturdiness there. I wear gloves again for just immersion, but also it hides the feel. Sometimes you can feel the little click in plastic, if you know what I mean. So you know it's always there, maybe right in the back of your mind, that you know you're worried about it when you needn't be, because it is a solid bit of kit, but you know it's never going to have the rigidity of, say, something like this, and the difference is huge. It is huge. As soon as you jump in with this, like even Barry Rowland on Sim Racing Garage said this is probably the most rigid rim he's ever used. I mean, this is it's not well solid, but the whole thing is metal, and there's, you know, you can't do anything. Even when you've got it mounted, you can't flex it. There's no creaks, nothing. And to me, it's just a massive jump up in quality using the two. In VR, you can't see any of the differences anyway, but you can certainly feel it. The other big difference is the shifters. So yes, you can upgrade these. I can't say how the upgraded ones feel, but I can compare these two. These shifters feel brilliant. They are loud, and you do get extra magnets, so you can change, I guess, the force needed to release them. Great feeling shifters, great feeling shifters. And these are slightly different on here because these are the rocker style. This is all one piece, and very quiet in comparison. They still have a good feel, and I do like these shifters. I do like these. They're different, but I've enjoyed using them. I think they're very good. This is a metal piece, this actual piece along here, and you can see it's all one bit. So as that, you push that in, that pushes out. Much shorter throw on this. Much shorter throw. It's very, very slight click. Obviously, it's actually, in comparison, fairly long on here. Not going to show on video, but you can feel the difference. Now, obviously, this does come with the clutch, which this one doesn't. I never use them. I don't really play the F1 games. I have dabbled in them, and I tried using these, but you know, I couldn't be bothered to get used to them. I'll be honest. If that's something you're really into, then you know you might just want to bypass this one because you might be desperate for clutch pedals. But you know, alright, there's a bit of lack of realism. I'll just use a clutch pedal if ever I'm using an F1 car. But so be it. But you know, that is an option you might really want. Plus, if you've got any disability, you know, you can use them as brake and throttle. That's it. That's really just my comparison. I don't know if that's of any use to anyone, but just, you know, go over and recap again. £600 compared to 400, up to 600. And if you're gonna spend that money anyway, if you don't need the clutch pedals, I really would say squeeze out that bank a little bit more, squeeze out your wallet a little bit more, and go for the Ascher Racing, because the jump in feel, the jump in rigidity is mind blowing. It is, honestly, and this is like a work of art when you get it in your hands. Yeah, so that's it. If you've got any questions about either, or a question in comparison between the two, you know, drop a comment. I will respond. I don't know if this video is of any interest to anyone, but someone did ask the drive and feel, and the drive and feel in summaries this one feels a lot better. But, you know, at a great cost, which I think is more than justified. So, anyway, I'll leave it there, just a little quick vid. And I'll get on with the rest of my day. I'm going to hop into a lot of iRacing, I think, and this on the F3 is just a phenomenal experience. I love it. I can't understate that. Alright, that's it. I'll catch you later. Cheers.